Greetings everyone, it's Mikhail, and I decided to record this small tutorial about particle system inside C4D. I want to create some kind of popular effect which particles growing over the surface. In my case, I would prefer use just a simple model from asset browser with like a wood, create like a moss effect or something. I hope you're gonna be interested in, so let's get started. Okay, let's try to create this effect from scratch. Actually, I think it's not a big tutorial, just a quick tip. Let me go to the asset browser and grab some of the models here. I would prefer grab maybe this one, just to put 01, just drag and drop it here. Okay, and let me make sure if I have a reset coordinates here. And in order to make sure what scale our scene have, let's create a just simple cube and grab our wood, press T and increase scale for this. It's a crucial thing because we want to operate with particles and dynamics. That's important to have a proper scale. So I think that's okay. Let me grab this one. Okay, we got this. Yeah. So I want to create some kind of growing particles over the surface. I think you already seen a lot of this stuff via Instagram or maybe other platforms, but let's try to create from scratch with native C4D particles. Of course, it has some drawbacks such as proper collision. Currently, C4D particles doesn't have proper collision, just a kind of push apart or float. But I think we can somehow fake it. Let's get started. First thing first, let's select this wood, go to the simulation and create mesh emitter because we want to emit from mesh. So we create this one, let's press play, and I think we got some kind of emission from the surface, especially from this wood. Let me do some of the adjustment. Actually, let me switch to my, I would say, attribute layout just to organize my scene. And I want to select my mesh emitter, go to the emissions and switch from constant to shot and change count. Let's start from 10,000. Yeah, let's go to the properties and make speed equals 0 because I don't want to use any speed. I want to control it by forces if I want, or maybe other modifiers. And speaking of direction, I want to switch to the random. Let me press play. We got this one. So we got kind of random distribution over the surface. That's absolutely okay. Let's call this group A. Okay, just organize our scene. And I want to switch from this group, and apply some kind of modifiers to other group in order to control it. So first thing first, if right now I'm just create a kind of fake collision, for this we have to go to simulate modifiers and create flow. That's immediately apply to all our particles, especially to group A. So if I press play, we got some kind of this one, actually not bad, yeah, but I want to kind of group it, kind of create a clusters of these particles, yeah. So maybe let me go to the mesh emitter and increase radius by 2, okay. And just to see the proper radius, we can negate size, because size it's not a radius, it's just to represent size in particles in viewport. And right now I think if we press play, we got actual radius, yeah, take a look, yeah. But especially for this group we don't need it. Let me switch to original, okay, like this. And as you see, this float modifier immediately applied to this group, but I want to control it somehow. For that I want to use some kind of conditions. So let's go to the conditions and create, let's start from simple thing, field conditions, because I think most of C4D users are already familiar with fields, how to control it, especially with demograph and fields and so on. And I think it's somehow similar technique, but with particles. Let me place this condition here in group A in order to only group A recognize these fields conditions. So I want to control group A to create group B and apply flock modifier to group B. Okay, let's move forward. If we go here, nothing much happened. We can create some kind of fields here, but we want to tell what exact happened when we have some of the conditions here. So for that, I want to create one of the great, I would say, modifier. It calls switch group, because I want to switch from group A to new group. Let me place it here inside my field condition, and we need to create target group. For that, let's go to the simulation group and create particle group. Let's call it B. Okay, just organize a simple place that after my group A. Okay, and we need to create some kind of fields here. Let me create, for instance, random field, and take a glance how it works. We got something, we got some of the particles green, and some of the, I don't know, fix, that because our switch group doesn't recognize any group, we need to place here group, and let's place our group B here, and we got exactly the same result. But if I place this flock modifier inside group B, this flock modifier will apply only in group B, and we already created this random field, which kind of, actually, I don't know if we can visualize it. Yeah, so it will apply only in some of the areas, so if we just increase scale, I think we will apply this field condition only on yellow or red area, whatever, so let me just deactivate it. Where is it? View. Okay, and take a glance. Yeah, as you see, some of the particles movement, that because only some of the particles driving by noise, here are recognized as a particle group B, because our fields condition tells only in some of area of this noise, these particles switch to group B. In order to somehow emphasize it, let's go to the group B, okay, and change, I would say, overload mode from none to constant, and by default it's red, but first group is green. Let me press play, and we got the idea. Take a glance. Red particles switch to group B, and only red particles got this flock modifier. So far so good. Let me readjust my scene. Let me hide my random field, and I want to go to the fields and create curve, just to somehow clamp this random field here. So let me create something like that, press play, and we got this one. We can move it here, for instance. Let me create something like that, and we got nothing, because I'm clamped my, I would say, random field. So how to control it? It's pretty straightforward. I prefer use curve. You can use range map to change it, or something, or change range, but for me it's convenient to use just a curve modifier. Let me increase count of frames here. Okay, go to the fields condition, create keyframe, use this curve, move to the frame, let's say 120, and change my, I would say, curve here. Let's take a look. Yeah, we got something kind of infection, yeah, but I want to render only group B. For that, let me just hide my group A, and let's take a glance one more time, and we got this one kind of growing system here. But our particles try to avoid this, I would say, wood, and move everywhere, And moreover, there is no any collision, I mean collision between wood and our actual particles. So for that, I just want to create one more modifier. Let's create a collider and make sure we place it after all, because Cinema 4D reads all the modifiers from top to the bottom, So let's go to the collide modifier, go to the collide, switch to the bows, change radius by 0, bones by 0, and just add some dynamic frictions like that. Let's say 55 and maybe 55 for angle variation as well. So, and I want to use this collider only for group B. Just place it inside group B. Let me check. Yep, something happening, but our particles still try to travel, you know. First thing first, let's go to the group B and activate radius, deactivate size in order to get actual radius in a Viper. So this is the actual radius. Yeah, so I want to control somehow my flow modifier. First thing first, I want to negate some speed because by default it's pretty high speed. I would try to use kind of 10 maybe. Let me, I don't know, deactivate cohesion for now. Cohesion means some of the particles connect to each other, kind of constraints, but not real constraints, you know. And as you see, separation radius 2.5, but our actual radius 2. I think 2.5, it's okay. Let me run one more time, and we got something. We got this one, so we got some kind of growing system, but it's still moving from the surface. We can use one more modifier. It's called, as we go to the simulation modifiers, it's called surface attract, because I want to attract only particles group B to the surface, you know. And by default, use mod follow. I think that's okay. Maybe increase radius by 20 and maybe just increase damping by 10, just to negate some of the speed of the particles, you know. Let me run one more time. And we got something, just maybe some of the particles move. Let me increase maybe. Actually, I think I forgot. We have to choose geometry, and we still don't have any collider tag here. So we should right click on the wood, simulation, and create collider. So right now we can go to the surface attract modifier and choose it and choose this one, you know. Actually by default it should choose this wood model like a collider. Let me make sure if everything is okay. Yep, everything is good. We got some kind of growing system, but it appears very fast, you know, in just one frame. I want to control scale for that as well. It's not big deal. We can go to the group B and go to the simulation and create modifier data mapper and place it here. I would say before flow, because after scale we will kind of push apart these particles from each other. By default we have this sinus, I would say, curve. Let me change it by this one, and we have to map one properties to it. As our particles have a short emission, they have the same, I would say, age. That's why I think it's not a good idea to use age as the initial property. I would prefer use maybe distance traversed and create just a small upper distance traverse, maybe just 10 centimeters, you know, and I want to map by radius. So the particles will have distance traverse 10 centimeters, so we'll change the radius, you know. So, and lower it's 0. We want to grow from 0 to, for instance, 2, or for instance 3. Let's say 2, okay? And let's take a glance. And we got this growing system. Take a look. Pretty nice. Maybe just a 5, I don't know. Okay. And one more thing, we probably need to add some velocity here. So let's go to the properties and change speed by 5 maybe. Okay, let me run one more time. I'm not sure it's a good idea. We got some kind of growing right now. Let me check if everything is okay. Not bad. And maybe increase count of our initial count of particles. By default we use, actually not by default, we use in the beginning just 10,000. Let me increase by maybe 6,000, okay? Oh, sorry, 60,000 maybe, okay? Let me check. And we got a lot of particles here, yeah. So we got this one. Maybe we should go to the group A and go to the field condition and just a bit readjust our amount here, just clamp it like that. Let me run my simulation one more time to get the idea. Yep, we got it. Yeah, we got something. So let's move forward. I think it's not bad result. Yeah, and I want to actually create maybe custom color for my particles group B. Let me just switch from constant to none. And I want to create some kind of additional modifiers called color mapper and use it only for my, I would say, group B. Let me map some of the properties, not the age, maybe, I don't know, maybe, I don't know, let's start from velocity and use magnitude and just use some kind of interesting looking gradient, maybe like that, or like that for instance. And let's change lower and upper. I think upper enough, maybe let's say 50. Let's take a glance. Yep, we got some kind of color variation here, you know. Yep, maybe 100, just move. No, maybe just a 20. Okay, let me check. Yeah, we got something interesting here. Yeah. Okay, so we got this one. In case you want to render it, we already got this, I would say, material which Maxon provides us already prepared for Redshift. Maybe just I need to readjust some of the displacement to get a more realistic result. Speaking of the particles, let me right click, add render text, Redshift object, and let's try to use just optimize spheres, you know. And I want to maybe a bit organize my scene before we open my Redshift IPR. And let's create a material for particles, apply it here. And let's use user data, because user data allows us to grab some user data from MoGraph or from particles. And I want to grab these colors, you know, to control it. Let me connect it directly to the my array standard material and choose name of attribute. And I want to use particle color. And if right now I press play on our Redshift, we got this one, yeah? But we have no any lights in our scene. Let me create just a simple area light, okay? Right click, animation tag, target, and use, let's say, my wood as a target. And I want to adjust lighting like that, maybe increase size for this, and make sure you just maybe a bit decrease, maybe not a bit, maybe a lot of decrease intensity, and try to find nice looking, I would say, nice looking shape like that. I'm okay with it. Let me create one more thing, just a plane, you know, switch to Z, maybe Z plus, not Z minus. Okay, move it back to create kind of a background, you know, just play around with it, find interesting looking shape, and let me create a camera. Okay, I want to switch my camera, let's say 100. Okay, and maybe let me switch to my render setting as well, like that. Okay, and one more thing, if we go to the Redshift, by default we use kind of auto sampling. I want to switch to advanced, deactivate auto sampling, and let me change my sampling by like maybe enough for tutorial this one. Make sure if you activate with hardware tracing if you use Windows. I'm not sure about macOS, as I know the latest Metal and latest M processors also support some kind of ray tracing, but I have no clue. Leave a comment if you know the drill. So, and I think that's enough, because in my case, you know, I sometimes I posted some of my art via Instagram, and sometimes I just want to render it so fast. I use two 38 Ti graphic cards, you know, and That's pretty fast to render, but sometimes I want to balance out between noisy maybe sampling here, you know, I use just like this, you know, and I use some of denoising like optics or something. Always depends on the scene. Optics very fast because it's RTX based, you know, but it doesn't care about the details, especially if you're working with big amount of particles or something, you know. So in this case I switch to this one, or I'm just deactivate it, render it, and use Topaz video enhancer. That's pretty fast, pretty neat, you know. But this tutorial not about it. If you're interested in how I use it in my pipeline, leave a comment below. So let me just select this wood, maybe rotate it like that, okay, maybe a bit change my, I would say, camera angle, just maybe like that, I don't know. Let me run my IPR, okay, and play around with my, I would say, actually let me lock it, play around with my, maybe with my light here, just to emphasize some of the part, yeah, maybe like that, I'm not sure exactly. Let me increase it a bit, yeah, to emphasize some of the part, yeah, not bad. And let me actually change spread, just to get more, I would say, detailed result. Speaking of the background, I would prefer move it back, maybe, or maybe, let me check what works better. Maybe it's a good idea to move it back, okay? And go to the light, go to the project and exclude my back from this light. Okay, and I want to create one more light and go to the include and include, you know, my background, and just to create additional copy of my lighting to just light my background here, you know. Let me actually a bit readjust my camera like that, maybe, okay. And maybe if I play with it like this, actually I like this lighting here. Let me a bit readjust my lighting here, maybe like that. And also I want to go to my area lights 0.1, maybe change my spread a bit, and maybe color, let's say a bit blue or something like that, okay. And we got something, yeah. So we still have this black area here, so in this case we can create just a simple dome light, you know, and I want to grab just this color and make exposure minus, let's start from -3, and we got something, maybe -2. Yeah, take a look, it's a bit, you know, a bit emphasize this part, you know, to get a more interesting result. So let me create maybe more frames, take a glance. I think we have to create more particles. Let me move to my mesh emitter and increase, let's say, 100,000 particles. Let's run my simulation. Okay, let's take a glance. Maybe we have to create in flow modifier separation radius by 3 or maybe 4, and let me increase cohesion by 1 as well, just to get more interesting result. Let me run my simulation one more time. We got this interesting behavior of particles. Yep, let me activate IPR. Yeah, we got something neat, I would say. Maybe one more thing, we have to care about this color user data, and actually I want to share with you a trick which helps you a lot. After you cache your particles, of course you can deactivate when you cache your particles some of the color caching or something, but you know, in this case you won't get data, color data. So for that I use kind of, currently we use this gradient. If we raise it by default, let me just create black and white gradient, you know, and I want to control this gradient. Currently it's the same because we have. Let me refresh it a bit. So I want to control this gradient in redshift shader. So let me just readjust my gradient here. We got something here, and I want to go to my redshift and create a ramp, you know, to change the color for my render. And that's pretty neat because you can control directly in the shader, you know. Let me show ya. As you see, I change this color. Let me add some kind of yellow color here, some kind of this maybe. Okay, let me add a bit more, maybe a bit orange here, just to balance out between different parts of particles. Yep, as for me looks good. Maybe delete yellow, create just maybe like that, something between. Why not? Maybe yellow. Okay, it's up to you guys what kind of color you want to use. So, and sorry, I'm close it. And one more thing, let me just change IOR from 1.5 to 2 maybe, just to get more detailed result here, more emphasize it, you know. And speaking of the data mapper, let's increase upper radius by 3, for instance, you know, in order to get more interesting result. Let me check. I'm not sure if it's okay for you to visible this grid. Sometimes I'm just rotate my camera, sorry. So maybe go to the filters and work plane. Yeah, deactivate this work plane. Okay. And let me check if everything is okay. We got this one, more fluffy, I would say, distribution of particles. Yeah, take a lens. As for me, it looks promising. So I think that's it for this tutorial. The project file is available on Patreon. I decided to add a bit more explanation about this technique, because if right now we press play, we see how our color dynamically changed here. What if we want to use just a random color for our particles, you know? So in this case, actually we have used just maybe go to the measure meter, you know, and use some kind of properties here, like a color, and change color from constant to random, for instance, or noise. And let me check if it works in our case. Let me deactivate actually color here, this color mapper. So as you see, we got kind of a random distribution color, and we can grab it and change just black and white noise, I would say black and white distribution, you know, like that maybe. Let me check if it works for in our case. And yep, we got kind of black and white distribution, and if we render it here, we got, I think, some kind of randomness of color. Yeah, and let me actually go to the ramp, play around with it a bit, activate my IPR, just a bit clump it, you know, maybe not so dramatic like that, maybe just create some kind of this, you know. And yeah, I like it. Yeah, it's more interesting result, and maybe just a bit dark areas. So we got this one, and of course we can use some kind of additional tricks for redshift. If we go to the area standard material, go to the subsurface, we can use this color for our subsurface color. Let me just control click here and connect this color as well, and let me increase subsurface scattering, you know, here, and just maybe a bit increase anisotropy, and we got something. We have particle radius equals, let me check, actually 2 as I remember. Yep, I think we can change our scale. I think 1, that's okay. Let me render it for you with bucket mode, and we got something interesting. Maybe just a bit decrease amount of subsurface, because I kind of try to balance out between diffuse color and subsurface scattering to get an interesting result. So we got this one. I'm not sure about the color again. It's always artistic way, you know, to get a proper result, interesting result here. Maybe let's revert to black one just to get more contrast here. Yep, why not? Maybe here, just to clamp it again, create kind of maybe this one. Let me check. Maybe something like that, I would say, should work interesting. Yeah, take a lens. I like it. I like it. So this is just additional trick, you know, how to get your particles. And one more thing, if you go to the float modifier, go to the float, let me change maximum speed by 2, you know, just to avoid this jittering effect. Let me run my simulation one more time, and we got this slowly movement, you know, like a mouse effect here, just get more interesting result. Let me run my IPR to check this out. Yeah, just playing around with noises to get the interesting I would say pattern of this noise, and maybe just increase a bit roughness for my reflections channel. Let me check. Yep, why not? Maybe a bit decrease weight, you know, and you got some kind of organic, you know, thing. So in this case, as I decided to record additional tutorial, let me go to the render settings and go to the system and switch from bucket size, this bucket size to 256, okay. And maybe I show you, in this case I think denoiser should looks perfect. Let me activate it, my bucket mode, I increase size of bucket mode and take a glance. We got pretty nice result. Maybe we lose some of the details because it's optics. Let's switch to this one. It's a bit slower when with optics. As you see, it's start to denoising, but I'm not sure. I think both works good, you know. Or if you don't want to use this kind of denoising stuff, you just have to increase sample min and sample max here to get a proper clean result. Let me check. It's 27 seconds. Okay, let me just get rid of any denoising. Increase like that, maybe. Run my IPR. We have noisy background, but it's not big deal if you use After Effects or other Compose to just denoise it, you know. So that's it. Maybe optics still good idea to this shot, you know. Yeah, and I think that's pretty much it. Thank you for your time. See you very soon. Bye bye.